one podcast, mining the Magic the Gathering community for salt. This is the Howling Salt Mine.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Howling Salt Mine podcast, the podcast where we delve into those salty mines of the Magic the Gathering community, find the saltiest stories, the saltiest posts, those salty confessionals that we love, put them in our mine cart, and bring them right back up to you, our dear prospectors at home. As always, I'm your host, Sam, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Mike and Tony. Say hey, guys.
What up, what up, what up?
Howdy ho.
And before we go any further into the mine, I'm getting so much better about remembering to do this, guys.
Yeah.
We have to shout out our nice patrons because they are nice.
Nice.
You see that inflection in my voice? That should tell you something about this Patreon level. And we have them. They're all so nice. We got them right here. We have Alex Balix, Cream Bean, Hephaestus Bolts, Prime Speaker Florian, Yafe Judge, Accidental TPK, and Royal Flood.
Get it.
Thanks for being so nice, guys. We really appreciate that shit.
Fuck yeah.
But hey, there's someone else in the minecart. This minecart's a little crowded today. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say it's full.
We've got the stretch mine card out today.
Yeah, it does not go on the tracks very well, actually. It's an OSHA problem, honestly. But
I just assumed I was hanging out the back of the cart trying to hang on.
Sitting in the trunk.
Yeah.
Just like Diddy Kong on Donkey Kong's shoulders. We're just crammed in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's right. We have some guests with us, folks. Actually, these are our first guests of 2024. Is that true? Am I telling the truth? That's true, right?
It's true now.
You're telling a true. Yeah.
Am I telling a true? We have Andy and Kyle from the Legendary Creatures podcast. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Welcome.
Good to be here.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
You want to know something?
Yeah.
This is the first time we've ever been on somebody else's podcast.
Are you
Me and
fucking
him
kidding
together.
me?
The two of us combining on
Yeah,
someone else's.
we've never done it.
Wow.
Is there a
Shit.
reason for that? Did we make a mistake?
Was it like a Batman Bruce Wayne situation? You're
Uh,
not supposed to be seen in the same podcast at the same time, except your own.
I just really like your podcast.
So does that mean Kyle normally does the guest spots, but you're making an exception for us, Andy?
I've been on a couple others on my own. I don't think you have you, Kyle?
I'm trying to think. I don't think I have. Yeah.
But you usually coordinate stuff to bring people to our podcast.
That's true.
Well, there you go.
Usually do it,
It's
so
true.
That's the way to do it.
That's Kyle.
Wow. That's shared responsibilities, you know? That's how you make it work.
Yeah, we don't do that, but that does sound nice.
Yeah.
It's
We shared in that I do all that stuff, and then I update Tony and Mike, and they're like, why didn't you do it this way? And I'm like, I'm sorry. Well, thanks for jumping into the mine with us today, guys. So for the people who don't know what the Legendary Creatures podcast is, hit us with that. Give us your little spiel. What are you guys all about?
Yeah, I mean, we do Commander. That's our coverage. I'd say you'd listen to us if you want to hear a lot about playgroup dynamics, like a static playgroup, not playing with people you don't know. I don't think we give very good advice for people like that.
Well, that'll be great because you'll be giving some advice to those people today.
Yeah. What else, Kyle? What do you think?
I mean, we're
about?
not like your, super experts at Commander, but I think we're pretty good at like social dynamics and just kind of giving our own thoughts and owning that there are our own thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. I mean, I won't lie that I've listened to a shit ton of your podcast. You guys sometimes do these like Commander theory deep dives and stuff like that. And I just eat that shit up. And then I go back to my play group with Tony, Mike, and our friend Nick, and I just cause problems. And I'm like, should we stop playing tutors, guys? And they're like, can you shut up?
It's funny because I was like listening to some more episodes of your guys' show, getting excited for you guys to come on as guests, and I kept hitting things and being like, oh, that's where Sam got that idea.
Yeah.
It's kind of this game of like, I don't know if if I'm excited anymore.
That's because Tony runs tutors and all his fucking decks. That vamp tutor, I see it in
All my
every deck.
decks. Even my mono green decks.
Just like taking that one out of the sleeve, like, here we
Yeah.
go, next deck. Where's it going?
So what's funny
Exactly.
is there's an episode where Kyle is like trying to very persistently convince me that we need to dial him back, and I started calling him like Moses and to stop, like, just I'm not gonna buy his religion about it, because he's like, look, man, it's causing, like, we see the same damn cards every night. The experience is not, and you go ahead like maybe 2 years later, and now I'm all bought in. I like,
Yeah, you're preaching it, dude.
And he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, you're helping him part the Red Sea, man.
yeah, I feel delivered.
I will say though, it has resulted in this like really intense love in our group. Well, Tony doesn't super love it, but the rest of us do, of like $100 budget brews and like $50 budget
I
brews.
was gonna
Like,
say, I just haven't brewed any decks.
yeah, Tony's just along for the ride. We're dragging him with us, but Nick and I have gotten like super into it, just as sort of a way to like cap power levels. It's worked out pretty well. We're still tutoring though. In fact, I made a $100 deck that's like basically all about tutoring. So I've kind of
Yeah.
eaten my words on that.
It's hard.
piece.
It's hard to get away.
It kills some decks for sure, like
Yeah.
some of our ideas. So
Yeah, I mean, some decks just can't live without a
Yeah.
tutor. You're like, how do I get my gimmicky card that the
There's
deck is
no
built
way.
around? You
Yeah,
know?
there's no way.
yeah.
No way. But that's like the era we're in. If you go back far enough, we were all about tutors. Kyle wasn't, but I was.
Love it. Should we get into our interview portion?
Let's do it, Tony. You know, we like to kick off these episodes when we have guests with a pretty grueling interview.
Oh no.
And I will say, you know, it's going to be intense. I hope you guys studied for it. I hope you did your research. If you do fail or you fuck it up, we will mute that audio. So,
Okay.
Yeah. And one
yeah.
of you can pass and the other can fail. So
Yeah.
like, that's the risk you run. And
We'll hold it over each other.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
at
There
that
you
point,
go.
it's victory points for one of you, right? It's like,
So dear listener, Andy's gonna disappear right now.
we'll leave that in.
Please either both succeed or both fail, because you're on one audio track and it's going to be
That's
such hell for me to edit out like the laughter of one person and keep in the laughter of another.
If you can pull it off, we both edit audio. If you can pull it off where you're like, you can get rid of somebody from one audio track and I just disappear.
That'd be
no.
pretty impressive, man.
No.
That would be wild.
There's got to be an AI for that now.
Probably.
I was literally thinking
Definitely
the same thing,
is.
right? Yeah, like the
You
Andy
just
remover
you just
AI.
feed it my,
Yeah.
my voice. Done. Eliminated.
So the first question that we like to ask, and feel free to jump at this in no particular order. Either one of you can go first. The first one we like to ask is, when did you get into Magic?
You want me to answer that, don't you?
Yeah.
So not soon enough, actually. I didn't start
Wow.
playing Magic until I was 24.
Whoa.
And you're
Yeah.
like 55.
I'm 73.
I'm from the future.
I've been exposed to it before. I had this girlfriend who'd like try to get me to play it, and the way she explained it seemed insane. She was like, "Hey, so these are your creatures, and they're your wall." Is how she described it. And I'm like, "My wall? Yeah. So I'm gonna attack you, but you use your wall to like stop me from doing that." And I'm like, I had this visualizations of like all of this biomatter getting mashed together and making a wall, like something like out of like Pink Floyd's The Fucking Wall, right? So I didn't identify with that moment and left it in high school. But then later on, there was this dude who I was working with, and he's like, "You seem like a Magic the Gathering kind of guy." And I'm like, "No, dude, with the flesh wall thing, is that what you're talking about?" And he's like, no, man, it's not like,
well, Wall of Flesh is a card, but
Yeah. I told him exactly what I just told you, and he's like, "Bro, that's not, I mean, I guess." Like, he just kind of has that look on his face. So I took a day off. I had actually got my wisdom teeth pulled, and so I was really high on Percocet
nice.
and playing on Xbox 360 arcade. I don't know if you guys ever like fucked with that.
Oh hell yeah!
But they had this game on there called Duels of the Planeswalkers.
Yeah,
and
baby.
Wow.
That's my shit, dude.
It is good, dude. And the music in that game it goes
Fucking
hard.
epic.
So I start playing the game, and I'm like not seeing the wall of bodies. But there was a moment that really like turned me on, and it's like in the tutorial. You probably like know where I'm gonna go. where it's saying, "Oh, hurry! Somebody's trying to kill your creature." It was going to do like ring flesh or something like that. It's the one that gives them -2, and it tells you to respond by giving them a giant's growth to like dodge out of it to keep the creature around. And that was like the moment for me where I was like, "Oh fuck, game is oh shit." So I started playing the game on there, and I thought like I'll only contain my interest on this game, on the arcade game, and it just didn't stay there, dude. It exploded. I went and got like a fat pack, is what they used to call them at the time.
Yeah, that's what I still call them. So
yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah, right. So me and him, we worked together also, and I was like, "Hey man, we should play this game." And what was your response, Kyle, when I told you about it?
I was like, "Are we gonna be those fucking nerds, dude?"
That's something like that. And we were like in the cafeteria at our place.
Because I remember in 7th grade playing with John Belliston and Robert Blaylock.
Shout out.
In Mrs. Pianezza's
Are you name dropping?
7th grade math class.
Shout out Mrs. Pianezza.
And I was exactly. And I was like,
class.
I mean, I liked those guys. They were fucking funny, but they were the biggest nerds I'd ever known in my life. And Andy brings up their game. I'm like,
you think they have a podcast now about that?
I hope to God they do. Those guys exposed me to Magic, and then a decade later, I came around to it with Andy.
And their names, Josh Lee Kwai and Jimmy Wong. Wow, that's crazy.
I know, right?
Crazy.
These big, giant fucking nerds.
In West Valley, Utah, of all places. Who would have thought?
I just love that in 7th grade, it was like, that was it. Those were the nerdiest people you'd ever met. I feel like I could identify nerdier folks than the Magic the Gathering people from 7th grade. But
I think it was
probably
me.
was also one of them.
Yeah,
So
it was me, dude.
And I wasn't even playing Magic yet. But
7th grade is that time when like some of the kids have discovered deodorant and some of them have not.
Yeah, dude.
Like
Fucking
you start to delineate the nerds.
They're still in denial about needing it.
And then you get to like 25 and you go to an LGS and you're like, oh, some still haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
You're deodorantly arrested.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you got Kyle into Magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. How do you feel about that now, Kyle? Knowing that like your friend really kind of signed you up for this like horrible, expensive, super fun, addictive hobby. Is that like a positive like in your life? Would you say?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because we hung out a lot of weekends. I think it was like, let's play Rock Band. Like, let's
Hell yeah.
watch some.
Let's do Diablo 2.
Yeah, we would do
Again.
some Diablo 2 runs.
And again.
Let's sit on the couch and watch this Japanese movie called The Interview or whatever.
That movie freaked you out. You hated that shit.
That movie was just
Yeah.
So it was like a good just like go-to thing immediately. You know, it's just like, oh, we can do this, and it's a good centerpiece for friendship, I think.
But how far off are you on for your like retirement goals now, though?
Oh, I know, right? Yeah, that Acorns account is very small due to Magic the Gathering.
Man.
Doesn't Acorns just need you to do more transactions?
I know,
Isn't that
right?
the whole bit? So
I guess that's
really
true. I should just be buying more singles.
I just round up on the dollar every time, dude. You know? So you guys found Magic. And then how soon after that did you find Commander? Because clearly, like you said, your podcast is focused on Commander. I mean, it's got legendary creature right in the title. Pretty Commander focused, I would imagine. And I do imagine because I've heard almost all the episodes. So
we went really heavy on Standard. That was our thing for a
really?
while. Yeah, we got pretty into that. We were pretty into it. We tried a game of Commander and didn't understand it. It was just like way too varied. We just didn't understand like kind of its core principles at all, where it just wasn't translating. We played it like once and we're like, yeah, this is dumb. And then we went back to playing out Standard, but then Innistrad rotated out and that like killed it, because like it was such a centerpiece for that Standard year, you know, like Phyrexia fell off halfway through, so we were like not really married to that. But it was Innistrad was like we call it like our anniversary set, right? Like it was the set it was a first pre-release, the first thing, like Core 2012 was what was going on. But once that rotated, oh man, like our decks just fell apart.
It killed all of our decks.
Like Delver Secrets, man, like Snapcaster Mage, like it just all this stuff just collapsed. Like it was, it was just a really big rotation.
Yeah. Meta shakeup.
Yeah. We were like, let's try to do Modern. and we hated modern. Like, we hated modern. It just wasn't, I don't know. We needed something kind of like the speed of a standard game, but
yeah,
not, eternal. And then we tried Commander a second time. Only this time we were smarter about it. We got more people to play. I think we were only trying like 3-player games. We don't know what the fuck we were doing. And
classic.
It was fucking awesome, right? Like I remember somebody resolved some big ass demon. I think it was Lure of the Void, because we're just using our cards from like Gate Crash and like we didn't
just like
really
your bulk rares and shit.
It never would have happened in a standard game unless you were playing like French rights. Like there's no way you would see something like that. And we were like, dude, this is sick as fuck. Like look at all these 6-drops that actually like
matter,
yeah, that aren't just getting doombladed off the table. So it was really cool, and we were just like all in on it ever since. And that was like 2012 ish.
Nice, yeah, hell yeah.
It was like 2013 because Commander 2013 came out just shortly after we got into it. Like I think we had our first roster of decks, and then those Commander 2013 decks dropped.
I think you're right.
Dropped in November.
Right. Yeah, I remember the first generation of like Commander precons were already like north of $100 by the time we even started playing. Yeah, they were hard to come by. Yeah, like the Riku, that cohort.
Yeah, Riku, Gave, all those like tricolor decks.
They were already like really hard to come by even then.
So the other question that we like to ask people is, what makes you salty?
What makes you salty, Kyle?
That's a good question. I get salty when let's see if I have the same answer about myself as Andy does.
Okay.
But
all right.
I think the times I get saltiest is when it's just really hard to get a footing in a game. And so we don't really do this in our group, but if like somebody was countering my commander, oh my God.
That triggers you?
If that happened a couple times in a game, I'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing to you. Like what did I do to deserve this? I like games where everybody gets to kind of like play.
Yeah.
We have a high amount of removal.
It's true.
In our group.
It's true.
But if there's a trend in the removal over the course of a night, that starts to get me salty too.
Where it's you?
Yeah.
So you don't get salty for other people eating it.
It's true. I quit fucking with him. What did Andy ever do to you, Brad? Fuck your brother.
Leave him alone.
I feel that, man. If my commander gets countered over and over and over again, like, it's like, what are we even fucking doing here? Can I play, or do you want me to just like leave? Like,
man, if it's one fucking time, I'm salty.
We know, Tony. We play with you every week.
This is why blue sucks. It's trash. No one likes it.
Yeah, blue doesn't even know how to win, dude.
It doesn't know how to win.
Exactly.
It knows how to win. You just deck yourself and play a Thoracle. It's had that figured out since day one.
It's like, what else do you want from me?
What is this? Child's play? Just throw the doll on the ground. Step on it. It's over.
How about you, Andy? What makes you salty?
I really don't like when somebody reaches for a dice to count their mana.
To count their mana?
Yeah, like they've landed like a mana geyser,
like, okay,
or
22,
or they've got some kind of ongoing storm effect where the mana vacillates, like it's up by 3, down by whatever, and we're really not going anywhere. Then my heartbeat starts to like increase because I hate it.
Really? What's your preferred? Your preferred is that they just say it every time, or
I prefer it not happen at all. I prefer that they don't. Prefer they don't hold the turn.
The mana.
Yeah.
Is it like a sign that like someone is about to go into a big storm turn? Like if someone's counting storm count and they're like, okay, how many spells have been cast this turn? You're like, fuck, I'm just gonna go like to the bathroom or something.
Right, hang on, I got a mana geyser. I'm like, okay, so I've got 70 treasures now. Okay, so like. That's the stuff that
it's the eyes glazing over moment.
I just leave the room. I'm like, let me know if I'm dead, and I leave. Yeah, I've done that. I'm like, I'm gonna go take a shit.
He's planning on it being that long. He's gonna release his bowel.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have a fucking bowel obstruction because of your turn. I'm leaving.
Well, that's worse because you come back and they're still going.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
There's already one person making a pile of shit in this room. I might as well go do that in another one.
Exactly, dude. Yeah, I hate it. God. Yeah, I was fearing for my life in that bathroom, and I come back, and you still haven't done anything.
I do hate when those people too are on like it's like the 6th or 7th spell of the turn, and they weren't fucking keeping track. And they're like, "What's the spell go?"
Yeah.
I'm like, you fucking tell me if it
I'm
matters
not
to
helping
you.
you. I'm not helping you. Yeah.
And then everybody's trying to rewind the turn.
Oh man.
Yeah. Like if it was just they only have the amount of information they started the turn with, I don't think it'd be that bad. But what happens is inevitably they have cards in hand that introduce new information to them. So their entire footing changes, right? I'm going to exile 3 cards with Jess because shit. There's 4 other cards here. Let me
pretty good cards,
you know what I mean,
guys.
Exactly. So it just kind of like they keep getting new information, and rightfully so. They need to make the best decision because as soon as they close their turn out, like we're on them, right? So it just takes forever. And I like long games. It's just I don't like you having one long game by yourself.
Yeah,
that's all.
I like that you pinpoint it as reaching for the die as the thing that makes you salty. Though, because like
it's the sign. It's
the sign.
It's definitely a side post.
Yeah, it's the sign.
That's the most specific answer
It's
to
the
that
train
question
horn.
we've ever had.
Well, good news for you is I just write it.
So you're not gonna like playing Magic with Sam.
It's funny you say that because I just recently got a Simic deck and we talk about it all the time because 1, I love to play it, and 2, it takes the fucking longest turns.
Yeah.
And I apologize every time, but I got to get that value, guys. You know what I mean?
You're like, look, green gave me a bunch of mana, blue gave me a bunch of cards. Rich people problems.
Exactly.
I have the will. I have the
Hey,
way.
all my spells are cascading, I got to get that free value.
Which is it's the epitome of like the new information thing you were talking about.
It literally is.
Oh, what did I flip? Oh, the
Right.
thing that does 4 more things.
Huh.
Okay, now I have
Another
Inappropriate.
trigger. How am I going to sort my 6 triggers that I get every single time I cascade?
It's inappropriate. It's inappropriate.
It's gross. I mean, it is gross. And Mike, I think you were mentioning it, Mike, but Mike, every single time he plays his Sisei CDH deck, he's going off because he takes out a little Infinitoken and writes a little Wooburg on it.
I just write
and starts to
Wooburg on
tally the mana, and we're like, okay, so we're gonna lose this turn.
I'm like, who knows? Let's see if anyone has opposition agent.
Spin my wheels.
Find out.
Wild.
Oh man, I love that though, dude.
That's a good question. I like that you hit people with that.
That is the most fucking specific answer ever. I fucking now whenever I see someone reach for that die, I'm gonna be like
Start clutching your pearls.
Palpitations.
Yeah. I got to shit all of a sudden.
Where's my nitroglycerin?
My bowels are quaking. Oh man. So we have a special third question that we like to ask when we have a pair on here. Mike, usually you ask it, so I don't quite feel comfortable asking it. So if you would like to do the honors.
Holy fuck, what is this?
Yeah, how did you guys meet and start playing Magic together? We kind of heard the second part a little bit, but
and when did you decide to make your podcast?
Oh yeah, that as well. It's a flow. It all goes together.
Yeah.
I mean, we met working at Discover Card with each other. Like we were on the same team. Like Andy had started a Discover Card, Quentin went to another job, and then was like, oh no, this was a bad decision, and came back. And so he just got injected.
It was a mortgage company, and this was 2007.
Oh,
just to tell you how psychic I am, I was like, I have a bad feeling. I need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, dude, good move. Wow.
And guess where that mortgage company is now? Nowhere.
Gone.
Yeah.
Dead and dusted.
It does not exist.
Rotated out with Innistrad.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It rotated out.
I had like gone through training, and then all of a sudden we hit the floor. We're calling people, asking them to pay their money, and there's this guy there, and that's Andy. And I don't know. I think we kind of ignored each other at first a little bit.
Yeah.
And then
as you do.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, 2 introverted dudes that like, what are you going to do? Be friends with people you work with?
So challenging.
You got to wait for someone to drop a hint and, that they're like a nerd. There's some shared interest where they're like, yeah, I think I might go on break and play my Game Boy. And they give you the eye and you're like, oh, I'm also a nerd.
It's funny you say Game Boy because I think where we started hitting it off is we got like promoted to a different team. And I was playing Advance Wars on my, is a DS?
Your
what's
DS
the double
Lite?
screen? Yeah, the DS Lite. And I showed it to him and I was like, I switched it into 2-player mode where you can hand it back and forth and it just blacks the screen out. So you can't really see.
So good.
In that game, we played that for weeks.
So good, dude.
You could hear people just like, sick. I think that's really where we started like hitting it off was on that team.
That's a great coworker game too, because you
you just hand them the DS.
Oh yeah, because it's turn-based.
Yeah, it's turn-based. There's no time limit. You can set it down. You can deal with whoever, and then you can like get back into it. I love that.
Yeah.
You're making a bunch of helicopters, aren't you, Andy? I don't know, Kyle. I mean, think back.
I really liked it because it's spatially oriented, so you could kind of like calculate the space on the.
Dude, I wish they had something like that on the phone, dude. That'd be so sick.
Cool.
Where it just like hits your phone for your turn. Oh.
Anyway, but then also like my ass was very tight at that time. Like I was reading like, to give you a picture, like I was reading.
I've got a picture in my mind.
Like you were fit, like you were really fit, Kyle, and you just had the tightest cheeks, dude.
Like I was reading Pol Pot's biography, like between phone calls at work, and Andy's like, you need something that's like a lighter read, man. Like, so he got me reading Game of Thrones and shit like that. And so, honestly, Andy's responsible for a good chunk of my nerddom, to be honest. And he's not wrong. He knew I would like things, and he wasn't wrong.
Any good friend is gonna get you into some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like Tony dragged me kicking and screaming back into Commander after a couple years of me away from it. So he really started all this shit.
Not without first trying to get me back into whatever the fuck we were playing, kitchen
Jank
table, whatever cards you want.
Whatever cards you want.
In which at the time I was then finding cards and like buying like stuff that wasn't standard, so it was like really expensive, but now it's worth like 5 cents, and like just like blowing money to exclusively play with Sam because everyone else I knew played Commander.
What a good friend.
I try. How did all that turn into the podcast though?
Yeah, I mean, we got playing Commander, and then I was getting interested in the idea of making a podcast. I wasn't really sure what, and I floated the idea to Andy.
And then some chicks happened, so we didn't do it.
And then I went and did like this Rumspringa thing. I went and took a road trip around the country for several months.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which biographies did you read during that?
I know, right? So I was doing all that Jack Kerouac shit. No. I did read a Mao Zedong book.
You would,
dude. Nice. But I got back and Andy was like, do you want a podcast, dude? I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
This is like 2017.
Yeah, it was 2017.
That summer.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
Is this your 7th year of the Legendary Creatures podcast?
Yeah, we're coming up on 7 years. We launched in the summer.
That's wild. Yeah,
that's fucking crazy, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, we were doing it we had a really good schedule when we started, and then like as time goes on, like we kind of just get it done.
Yeah, once you have an audience, you can just shoot it out whenever.
Yeah. But man, we were like clockwork, man. Like every like you guys are very regimented, very structured, and then it's just over time it was like, I don't know, man, no one cares. Let's just let's just shoot that.
I care, dude. Give me more content. Come on.
Yeah.
No, but that's the point. The listeners care. They want
Tony's
more. You've got them, like, so they're coming back.
Keep me wanting. That is true. That is
something
true.
to look forward to, Salt Mine patrons and listeners.
I think if anything, we're going to double down. We're going to start doing 2 episodes a week.
Oh my God, that is a lie. Do not even put that energy into the world right now. They'll be like, when?
Dude, if we get 2 people in the whole dang mine Patreon tier, we'll do fucking 2 episodes a week.
Yeah,
I'll make that claim right now.
Yeah, sure. If they stay in that tier for more than a month, then like...
yeah. As long as they're there, we'll do 2 episodes a week.
For context to you guys, that's like it's a hefty.
You're like, we'll be making
level.
Some cash if you're at that level.
And we're going to be recording in a mine in where the hell was it? Oklahoma
Kansas City
or something?
The whole dang mine is $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the least you can do would be 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
reasonable.
A lot of that money has to go towards our flights to Kansas City and our caving gear so we can spelunk and record in an actual salt mine.
Yeah. I see that other part.
AKA our bribe to like let the people
Yeah.
allow us to record an episode in their mind.
That would be pretty epic.
Wait, you guys already have a mine pinned, like one researched out?
Yeah,
actually
there's
do.
one that
It's-
exists.
That's fucking
right?
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
of it.
And there is no gear required. It's like an $8 touring fee or something like that. Like it's like fully outfitted for humans to go in.
Yeah,
And
it's like
Yeah.
a museum-y kind
yeah,
of
it's like a
vibe, right?
museum. It's actually, the salt mine has the perfect humidity to keep old film reels and like old costumes
Oh,
at like the perfect temp and humidity to preserve them. So they put a lot of like old film and movie costumes and shit down there.
that's
randomly.
crazy.
It's like some Indiana Jones stuff. That's
It
it.
really is, yeah. And there's like a little choo-choo train that's down there. Like, hey, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a good time if it ever happens.
So imagine them allowing us gremlins to go in there and like record
So
an episode.
we're gonna
of
record a podcast in here.
Imagine a school field trip walking by, the three of us in a corner being like, hey, ball sack.
The
With-
teachers
with
are just like,
handheld
ignore
mics.
those nerds.
Yeah. They didn't learn about deodorant.
Yeah.
The school bully takes our milk money. Like, oh no.
Well,
Oh,
should
man.
we get on into the mine?
Yeah, let's fucking do it, guys. Let's get
do it.
into the mine. We've preambled enough. Let's jump down the shaft. Mike is so disappointed whenever I say that. Mike, that's a mining term, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I didn't know that.
All right, well, let's get into it, guys. I got some salty stories queued up here, and we're ready to rip it.
Oh yeah.
Tony.
Oh shit! What's salt?
You're like, that's my job.
Damn it! I was just excited.
You
I was
have a
listening
line?
to you. I was like, we're going in. It's gonna be great. Sam, what's salt?
Great question, Tony. Thank you for asking and remembering your line. I really
Oh, yeah.
appreciate it.
I'm like 1 in 5, and by that I mean 1 out of every 5 times I don't do it.
Yeah, ooh, who knows? I don't think
That's
we'll
There
we'll
is
really
a
tally it
consistency
up.
there,
Yeah,
just not
yeah.
what everyone expects.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Andy gets it.
Yeah,
It's like a mealy consistency, though. It's not like smooth. It's chunky.
It's not fine grain.
mealy. I'm gonna use that.
Mealy consistency.
I'm gonna use that at work. Your work is just mealy inconsistency.
Or use that when talking about a bad deck. Like, how consistent is your deck? It's kind of mealy.
The one
Bad
that's
apricot.
the one people are on now is like, it's mid. What is this? Mid? Is that bad? It's mid.
Yeah, mid is like, isn't that like a marijuana term that's been pulled over into like the public
Maybe.
parlance?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I
Is
don't.
it?
It's to me, it's like forgettable. Is that what you're trying to say? Like,
Yeah,
it's mid. It's
it's
not
like- yeah,
bad.
that's
It's
right.
Not memorable.
It's ditchweed. It's not good, but it'll get you high.
Yeah, it's mid.
Right.
Well, thanks, Tony. Salt is what a clean transition, folks. Salt is frustration in the game, as we like to say, and really, salt is an umbrella term. When we're in the salt mine, salt can be everything from the small grains to the full shakers. Something where maybe you're playing a regular pre-con game, everybody comes bringing a similar power level, but the vibe is off. Somebody doesn't want to take deals, or they're being really weird when people are trying to make deals at the table. And it's an okay game, but you leave it with a bad taste in your mouth. Or maybe it's high salt and someone brings the Thassa's Oracle combo deck to that same pre-con game and they just stomp all over you. And then at the end, they keep bragging about how cool and expensive and good their deck is. And, you're like, hey, I hope you feel good. Have a good day. Don't play with me again. And we talk about salt so we can learn from it and hopefully not be salty in a future game.
Hell yeah.
Really an educational show, folks. If you laugh at all, that's just an accident. This is an educational show.
We actually request that you don't.
Yeah.
Also,
Could you
keep it
down?
serious, please.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kyle.
Well, I got some salty stories here. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, let's hear
Lay
one.
him on me.
Oh, and you guys passed, by the way. Your microphones are not muted. You did pass. So
Great.
You didn't pass.
you
Flying
have your
colors.
mining license now.
You didn't get it.
Sweet.
Yeah. Tony. So our first story comes to us from the EDH subreddit. That's right, folks. That place that is full of salt. Some of the richest mines are there.
The internet.
And this one comes to us from our buddy Free Watercress Salad. If you guys ever see user free watercress salad around the subreddits, give them an upvote. You know the drill. Spread that good will.
Do you think that's like free watercress salad? Like, here's a free watercress salad, or like free the watercress salad? Like, like nobody has, like, you know.
Yeah, I think a watercress salad has been imprisoned wrongfully. Yeah,
wrongfully, exactly.
And needs to be released. And this post is titled "Guy in My Pod Free Sideboards Void Mirror Just for My Colorless Deck." I really have no idea what this story could be about. It could go in so many different directions, guys.
We're talking about a sideboard? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, sounding like one.
Huh. That's new.
And the story goes, I just need to vent about the situation that popped up this week. I have a typical colorless Eldrazi deck with Zuladoc as the commander. Lots of colorless ramp, all the Titans, Ugin, etc. And it's one of my favorite decks to play. A guy in my regular play group recently bought a copy of Void Mirror that he is now pre-sideboarding in whatever deck he plays anytime I play my Eldrazi. He keeps it separate from everything else and swaps it in to whatever deck he happens to play only after he sees me pull out my Eldrazi deck. And hey, if he wanted to buy a copy for each of his decks and trade out one of the 99 in all of them as a safeguard against it, more power to him. But this pre-game sideboard action leaves me super salty, and I think it's very poor etiquette. The worst part is that because my entire deck is colorless, if he puts down Void Mirror in early game, I'm completely locked out of the game and literally can't play anything. No removal, no mana rocks to tap for any color, nada, zip, zilch, nothing. I don't get to play. Would any of you allow someone to quick edit a deck after commanders are announced, but before the game actually starts? Seems like it's completely against the spirit of Commander as a format, but we only play casually, so I'd love to hear anyone else's take on this situation. Interesting.
Ooh.
Some bullshit.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This gets me. This isn't in any rules that I can find. I don't think there's a fixed order of it. But before Mulligans, I believe there are some other like phases of starting a commander game that happen. I think the one right before Mulligans is deck selection, and the one right before that is deck edits. So he can put whatever he wants in his deck, but as soon as that's in there, deck edits are done, and then you get to choose what deck you want to play. So he could put Void Mirror in, and then you get to choose, do I want to play my Eldrazi card? Do I not? So sometimes he's just gonna, hang out with Void Mirror in a deck doing nothing against nobody.
You forgot one phase before deck edits is like you bullshit about power levels and like try and come to a consensus, but everybody's 7 is different, and then you edit your decks.
I actually think that happens after deck edits personally.
I don't generally edit decks ever, let alone like singular cards just to fuck over one deck. Outside of like maybe mill, I've thought about it once or twice because in our pod we've had like some mill decks come down, but it was never like, okay, Nick has selected his mill deck and now I'm slotting a card in. It was like, I like to play this deck right now, so I'm just gonna put something in that fucks with mill and like shuffles everything back in, like one of the shuffle titans or something. Typically my editing a deck, if I don't like the deck you're playing, is I pick a new deck that's just like gonna hang better or like be able to do it, but never like specifically just to fuck over like one deck. I think that's pretty bullshit.
Yeah, it seems like horseshit to me. What are you guys thinking over there?
I think I was just waiting for you guys to say how bad this is.
Or to sit back and see if we'd be like, this is great.
This is pretty cool tech, actually. Yeah, this is a good idea.
I never thought about this. Yeah,
it bring this into
like
my
a really
deck
good
building.
way to get to some wins.
This is like the most cowardly shit I've ever heard. Like,
yes.
it's not uniformly useful, the card by itself. Like, it is so specifically insulting this one deck. If it was something like, I don't know, non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast, right? Like, that will slow down this Eldrazi deck quite a bit because the early form of this deck is they're producing mana rock after mana rock after mana rock. Like, how else are they going to get to this mana altitude and colorless?
Right.
So that seems like, okay, I could start putting stuff like that in some of my decks because this guy always plays this Eldrazi list, and for whatever reason I feel impotent and I can't handle it. So that's probably the angle I would go for, I suppose. It kind of sucks because it snares you guys into it too. Like, if we were playing with this guy and we were in his meta, that would kind of get in your way. So I don't really know how to get ahead of something like that. But this is like, it's like a hard nerf, right? Like I'm pretty sure he's tutoring it 6 ways to Sunday to make sure it sees the board every time our storyteller tries to play his Eldrazi list. Because it sounds like it's frequent, right? Sounds like he's running into it like all the time. It's not like, oh, it's in the deck and it is spooky me. It's the guy resolves
into it.
Yeah.
And I should probably read Void Mirror just for folks who don't know. You could probably tell from context clues what it does, but Void Mirror, it's a 2-mana artifact, and it says whenever a player casts a spell, if no colored mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. Pretty simple. Pretty one-directional card. I remember when this was spoiled in Modern Horizons, a bunch of people in the CDH world were like, oh man, it stops free counter spells. Is this going to be the next thing? And no one ever fucking plays this card. Like no one plays this card unless you are trying to fuck over the local Eldrazi player and make them have a bad time.
That is when we see this,
And you could just win instead.
Yeah.
Right.
Like these are late stage decks. Like these Eldrazi decks are not super impressive to me. Like they go undefended for a long time, and a Vandal Blast or two, and they're like underwater, like bad.
Yeah.
To me. So
yeah, in our play group, those have never had that much success because everybody else is just like, well, we know when they arrive, it's going to be bad. So let's all agree. Let's make sure that player doesn't survive long enough for them to arrive.
Right?
right.
Which is just playing the game.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is, I don't know. This is
that person needs to check their blood pressure because there's too much salt.
Yes.
Nice. Very nice.
Nice.
It's a really good point too about like a Vandal Blast. Like it feels very much like a overcorrecting and trying to treat like this specific thing of like way too much of a silver bullet situation.
Yeah.
Whereas like another card will be better in 95% more situations and almost just as good in the situation you're worried about.
And I would call that constructing for your meta, right? Like, so Tony's example is like, yeah, there's a lot of mill going on at that time. So it felt like it was smart to include these, and they probably weren't DOA cards, right? They were probably okay if it never happens and really great when it does, where this is so specific.
Yeah, like if you're not against a deck that has a plethora of colorless artifacts that they're trying to drop or free spells or whatever, like Void Mirror is a dead card. It does jack shit, There's really no reason to run it unless you're trying to fuck over one person in particular.
Yeah, that's why it's triggering everybody on this call.
Which is why we don't like it.
You know what it is, actually? It's pretty good against Cascade.
Fair.
I guess we should all swap this into our.
Moving on to the next post.
Second thought.
Hey, wow.
That's smart deck construction.
Sam in the editing room, please delete that. Well, first of all, we've all said it, but if you're trying to silver bullet this hard against someone, I think honestly, even one of the scenarios that the poster included, which is if you were like, this deck gives me a problem, I'm going to run Void Mirror in every single deck.
Sure.
Gives me a problem. Like that is a fair thing you could do. It does abide by deck building rules. But at the same time,
dead for the guy.
I'm of the mind that like if you're in a play group and you are running one card in particular to fuck over one single player, like there's gotta be a broader card that you can slot in there that's better in other scenarios, that's going to be better for your deck. Like I think it's kind of bad deck building at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's our point. Yeah.
Like it's weird. It's a weird include to put in your deck just to fuck over one person.
Right.
My advice to the poster here is like, put your Eldrazi deck on the table, watch them unsleeve a card, put the Void Mirror in, start shuffling, and then just switch your deck.
Yeah.
And what are they gonna say?
That's definitely the way.
Are they going to say, oh, but I put this in just for your deck? It's like, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna do illegal things that, before we jump into a game, like if I can't police you on slotting that card in, like I'm not gonna let you police me on swapping the deck.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I thought I was waiting for you to be ready to shuffle before I actually chose my deck. I was still, still choosing.
Or give him the old face down commander, I mean, at the start of this post, Mike, you were talking about like the order of like picking commanders, doing hands and things like that. I'm pretty sure in the rules somewhere there is something that like commanders aren't revealed until you're all sitting down and like ready to shuffle up and stuff like that. But a lot of people, because of the pregame discussion, They want to reveal what they're doing in good faith to try to have a balanced game. But truly, it's not in the rules. You don't need to do that. You can have a hidden commander and be like, blam, it's not the Eldrazi that you thought I was going to play.
They are revealed by the time you're mulliganing, though. Just for anyone worried out there.
So what do we think about the salt rating here on this one?
This is a high salt for me, man. This is full shaker. If one of you guys was teching in a card every single time I pulled out a specific deck, I would be so fucking mad. I'd be like, I would yell at you. I would lose my cool pretty fast. What the fuck are you doing, dude?
Well, it's a little Christmas landy, right? Like, you like imaginative play on the playground where we just invent the rules as we go. Like that's not what's happening, but kind of, right?
Like
you're just
Calvin Ball.
introducing, well, you can't play. I would say, it sounds like these two guys are friends, right? Like if I was talking to our poster, I would probably say, it sounds like this dude is terrified of your deck. Like maybe you should engage him. Go, look, man, I know you don't like the deck because of Void Mirror. It's the only reason you run it. Like, let's be real. Let me just tell you, like, hey, show him like your Achilles heel a little bit. Because this card is like a lockout, right? Like if he resolves it, you're locked out is what we're getting from this post. So maybe you just like flesh bag Marauder my commander the minute it comes out. And at least I have to figure out my mana or something. I don't know. But like, this is a complete lockout. Like, tell him like what your deck is actually vulnerable to if this guy clearly isn't intuitive enough to figure it out himself.
But hasn't he figured it out? Isn't it? The Void Mirror is an Achilles heel.
In a way that wouldn't make you want to go to Reddit and ask strangers about what to do.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, just go to your friend and be like, this has caused me to post on the EDH subreddit about this situation. Is it telling you anything?
And they made it over to this podcast. These guys are fucking pissed at you, dude. You don't know them, but they're pretty mad.
Play this episode for your friend,
Yeah. If you're the friend, we fucking hate you. So
I was gonna say, isn't a Reddit post like the precursor to a breakup? Like,
it often is, dude. Yeah, it often is.
Our relationship advice: divorce.
Am I the asshole? That's
you
like
are
the last thing posted before you broke up.
Divorce.
Yeah, you've already decided that someone's the asshole.
Right.
Throwaway cause reasons.
Yeah, exactly. The throwaway account, man. Oh god. Also, another piece of advice: Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth, and fucking the Urborg that makes everything swamps. Like, slot those in your decks, dude. Void Mirror isn't going to matter then because you spent colored mana to cast those spells.
Or you can play like any of the couple mode lands, like Tenzin Ice Bridge. I think there's one that comes in with like a charge counter on it. Taps for colorless normally, but can tap for color like one time. So you can mix some of those in also. And if he slots in Void Mirror, plays it, and then it doesn't do anything, he's not going to be excited about that.
It's not going to go in the deck at the next game.
But that would be a last resort before the talking to him about it. Definitely.
Well, you guys ready for another salty story?
That was a good one.
Let's shuffle on to the next one, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
So this next one comes to us from one of our patrons, and this one comes to us from our buddy Royal Flood. What's up, Flood? Thanks for the salt, dude. And this post is titled "Infected with Salt."
I have a theory on where this is going.
These titles are so confusing. It's like, what could it be about? Oh my god!
What?
The last one was really just like a TLDR. Like we almost didn't even need to read the post. It exactly told us what was going on.
Yeah.
All right. So this one goes, "Forgive me, Sam, for I have salted." Wow, man, kind of dunking on Tony and Mike here. Jeez.
He just knows we're not going to forgive him.
Now, I must admit, this story takes place quite a long time ago, and a lot of the details I cannot completely recall, but I can remember my salt quite well. It all started during a game night hosted by one of my close friends. I was excited to play with some guys I had not seen in quite a while, and I pull up to the house eager to sling some spells and devour some pizza. Matt, the host of the party, tells me once I get inside that everybody is ready to go, and we started setting up for some commander. There's 8 players, so naturally I think, oh cool, we can have 2 pods to fire off, and we can mix it up at some point. This is when Matt tells me, we're going to do an 8-person game. It's going to be a blast.
No, thank you.
You say 8?
8. 8 people.
Jesus.
And the post continues, fuck me.
Agreed, dear patron.
Yeah, I agree. I read this one beforehand. I like to sometimes filter through them before we have guests on to make sure that they're good. And it's the 8-person game is like not the salty point of this story.
boy.
Okay.
Like,
All right.
it gets worse. It gets worse.
It didn't help them though. It
Yeah.
didn't help.
Yeah, I can't believe it would.
Definitely not helping. Holy shit.
It's yeah.
We all sit down and pull out our decks for this marathon we are about to take part in. I'm playing at the time my only commander deck I had assembled, Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
I built it as an infect theme, looking to overwhelm the board with snakes and do some Triumph of the Hordes and Tainted Strike shenanigans. I can't remember the rest of the other players' decks, but honestly, it doesn't matter for the story. So get fucked, players 2 through 8. As the game begins, I partake in my Rule Zero conversation, explaining the game plan of my deck. No objections, everyone gives a thumbs up, and we're off to the races. The game drags on for fucking ever, but I am able to assemble a decent board state. Most of the group was doing the same, except for another player named Hunter. Hunter was popping off, and I knew what to do. I waited probably 45 minutes for my next turn to come around. Then I began
God.
Operation Infect. I cast Triumph of the Hordes with a bunch of snakes and grinned as I had taken out the biggest threat in this game. Well, guess I am dead. Good game, says Hunter. Wait. Matt, the host, chimed in. Our house rule is 20 infect. You're still alive.
What?
Excuse me? What? Matt then starts the spiel of how infect wasn't intended for commander, and it
Oh, here we
isn't
go.
fair.
Oh,
And it isn't fair, so his house rule is 20 infect to kill a player. I try to keep my composure as I explain infect is fine, and there's no way I'm going to kill 7 players this way. I ask, are we changing shocklands to 4 damage? How about fetches for 2 damage? If we change 1, let's just change them all. I look around to others for support, but it was not given. Not once was this house rule mentioned beforehand, but yet
Ugh.
Matt stood his ground, and I proceed to pass the turn. The game continued to drag on for 5 more hours, and I was
Oh my
mentally
God.
I was mentally checked out for the remainder of it. Hunter proceeded to do his shenanigans and win the game, and I packed up my bag and got the fuck out of there. It was the saltiest I have ever been and probably ever will be. Just remember, everyone, to communicate your house rules up front and stay away from 8-person pods. Wise words, Royal Flood. Thank you for that one.
you're signing yourself up for so little playing Magic when you sign up for an
Yeah.
8-person game. Like in Commander, you're already competing for your tiny 25% slice of the game time, right? Suddenly you're getting just 12.5%. Like you're getting no time to actually like play the game. And sure, you're responding to everyone. You're doing stuff throughout the whole game. But like if you're a mostly sorcery speed deck, jamming stuff out, getting permanents out, which a lot of casual decks are, oh, this is horrendous.
There is no justification for this. They had 2 pots of 4. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Why? Why?
Oh,
A,
man.
I can't get over that, but B, then like, yeah, get fucked. If somebody
House
gave a house
rule.
rule like that, I'm surprised you just quit then and there. I would have just left then. I'm like, all right, see ya.
Yeah.
Like, because I literally can have no effect, and it's gonna take another. You know what? I'm gonna leave and come back, and it still won't be my fucking turn yet.
Yeah,
Like,
dude. You could poop like 2 to
Yeah.
3 times in that
Yeah.
time.
I was just gonna say people could just take their normal turns and you'd have a time to take
Digest everything and shit it out.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack with this one. So we got the 8-player game. We got the house rule that's not mentioned up front. It is mentioned in the heat of the moment with a player's life on the line. That's the thing that bugs me. Like, I get it. Some people dig house rules. Commander's a casual format, blah, 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 blah. You can do what you want. But to not say that up front and to say it when someone is like, sick, I'm dead.
Off a triumph.
So they obviously don't know the fucking house rule either.
Yeah.
You just blew your wad to take somebody out. And then Matt comes in and is like, nah. We do it a little different around here. Like, that's just fucking crazy, man.
This is the kind of spot where if there's a house rule like this, you've got to wind it back at least.
Yes.
Because they're expecting to kill someone.
Mhm.
That's like the minimum that you could do to kind of right the situation of people not knowing it in advance.
That's a good call.
Still sucks, but
They said they had a pregame convo and he told them it was infect. Yes. Would that
Yes.
have been a good time to tell everybody that we're going on 20 poison for this game? And then he would have just sandbagged a little longer and gotten his 20 on this guy, I think is how that would have played out.
Yeah.
I don't know, Andy. I don't think the Rule Zero conversation where you're supposed to, talk about pregame stuff and Rule Zero where you specifically bend the rules. I don't know if that's really the right spot for that.
Yeah, I think in the heat of battle, that is the appropriate time at which to drop that little bomb.
It's almost like they planned it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so they only have one house rule, so that's actually for the Rule 1 conversation.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Yeah. Man, that infect argument, I feel like people have been beating that drum for way too long.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll catch a comment on, the EDH subreddit or something like that where someone's like, no, it should be 20. Like, it's so broken that it's 10. It's so fair, dude. I think I can count the number of games I've lost to Poison and Commander on one hand.
It's such a sophomore argument.
Yeah.
Like you clearly understand the game enough to make the argument, but you're like, you haven't been playing long enough and being in games where, in fact, if it doesn't get to 10, it does nothing. It hasn't done anything to the game.
Yep.
If we're talking just straight infect. Like I think they tried to correct that a little with Toxic, where it's like, well, their life total goes down too. So if the vector of infection gets removed from the game, i.e. the player that's responsible for it, at least the game is still advancing the direction for everybody else,
Yeah.
I think you're right. Like I think people kind of think they're smart. It should be like 20.
My life total's double. Come on.
There's just not a like collection of cards that bestow poison counters to really justify that doubling.
The collective effort of the table can deal with infect.
Right.
And then when it does, we've done nothing as far as life totals go. That's my whole thing about like why I think it's fine at 10.
Yeah, totally. I've literally won my first games with poisoning somebody out like in the last 2 months.
Right.
Like as long as I've played this game, I only recently have I ever won with those.
Yeah. It's not easy.
Yeah. I think it's pretty rare.
I haven't seen like multiple people die from it, is what it is. Like one person, sure. I've seen one person get nuked a bunch, but like actually taking the whole table out, and like that's the whole point, right? Like that's why it's 10, because it's
that's the thing. In a 4-player game, the poison level to win is 30, right?
Yeah.
Like it's 10 for each opponent. In your fucking crazy 8-player game, it was 70.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Like Flood needs to deal 70 poison to the table to win. Like it's fucking crazy, man.
Well, at Matt's table, it's a lot more.
True. I think the point of like, well, do we adjust shocks? Do we adjust fetches? Like that's a really good point, because there's like there's 2 levels to it. It's like, one, you can argue that infect is finely balanced in the 4-player format anyway because of what you just said, Sam, right? Well, like you actually do still need to do 30 damage or 30 infect in order to clear a table, not just the 10. But there's also the element of like Commander in some ways is like founded on the principle that there are going to be cards that are poorly designed for a 4-player experience that are in the format. Like there's all kinds of stuff. And so like, yeah, the 1 life on a fetch land, the 2 life on a shock land, those are perfect examples of things that matter much less in the format because they're not designed around it.
That's a good point.
So like even the basis of the argument is pretty weak.
Yeah, it's just
Agreed.
fucking
Maybe
bullshit.
you guys know better than I do, but how is infect received outside of Commander? Do they think it's too fast, or do they think it's what is people's beat on that? Like
It's always about what the shell of the deck is from what I've seen. So like I've seen poison get a bunch of hate in standard. There was like a Dimir poison deck that literally would just use an instant that would put a poison counter on someone and then just proliferate from there. And that was like super uninteractive. You couldn't really do anything. People were upset about it. And then there were a couple things where it's like a green, hasty, infect questing beast style thing, basically. And people were like, oh, this is fast. I'm getting hit by this quickly. It's not necessarily the strategy of infect being the win con that people get upset about. It's like, oh, the deck is just doing well. And people always hate whatever the meta deck is or whatever the strong decks are. So I feel like it's not mechanically as crucified as it is for Commander.
Yeah, because it was in standard when we first played. New Phyrexia was the first rotation.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it was
man.
there was a minute,
Blightsteel, baby.
right, where New Phyrexia and Innistrad were the same meta, the same rotation. And I think by then, Infect, right? When did you run into Infect deck? Like never.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
None of us got into it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It just, even then, when it was the first time anyone had seen it in Giant's Growth and all these like pump spells, and
Mhm.
it really wasn't a problem. It was Delver's Secrets that was crazy. Like that was the one that was
Yeah.
tearing and
Right.
Yeah,
Gravecrawler and Geralt's
Thragtusk
Messenger.
became a thing with
Thragtusk, yeah, like that was
Thragtusk,
like, oh
dude.
god, you almost wanted Infect with Thragtusk. So I guess I'm just trying to argue that it feels like it's right actually for Commander. Now,
Yeah.
when I'm thinking about my experience with it, like it feels better because you have 3 people that can deal with it,
Yeah.
That can work. Hey guys, we don't want to
Or
die.
you got 7,
Or you got
Yeah.
yeah. Or you
Oh,
got
God,
7.
can you imagine like everybody not drawing extra cards, but there's a whole hand worth of cards every rotation around
Oh
the
yeah, dude.
Oh,
no,
that
just
your
add it
opponents
in.
have.
just a whole hand.
That's true.
Can you imagine playing a fucking Tivit deck into that 8-person pod though? Ooh, let's
Ooh,
vote,
votes.
everybody. What are we gonna get? Treasures or
Oh,
clues?
no.
Come on.
And then you get some smart ass that's like electioneering like crazy. Now's my chance, guys. Listen, this is what's gonna happen. Shut up. Shut up.
I will say, like pretty recently, Bant Poison or Bant Toxic, people are calling it, has become like pretty prominent in standard right now. And those toxic cards have been around. I mean, I don't know. Magic sets come out so fucking fast and furious.
Yeah,
What has
no
it been?
kidding.
2 weeks, 3 weeks we've had toxic as a mechanic?
Unironically, I think like 4 months.
Yeah.
Right? Wasn't it March of the Machine?
Yeah, it was March of the Machine.
Yeah.
But only just now is that really picking up as a deck. So, like, to your point, Andy, Poison isn't this broken mechanic in other formats. And honestly, I think you could make an argument that it is the most balanced in Commander because it's an Eternal format. You have so many cards available to you to try to break Poison. And even then, like, very few games are ending with everybody getting knocked out with Poison. I think it's truly what you were talking about earlier, Tony. It's truly the salt that you get where one person gets knocked out super, super fast, and then the Poison player can't knock out the other 2 people, and they die. And now you are both just sitting out watching 2 other people play.
That's the most
Near
common
full
story.
health. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, well, thanks for knocking me out with your stupid fucking poison shit, dude. But people make the same complaint about Voltron, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
that or the salt of not being told a house rule. It's just
Well,
being
yeah,
like, "Get
specifically.
That's pretty infuriating.
Yeah.
It really is.
wrecked." What do we think about the salt rating here on this one with that in mind?
Hi.
It's like 2 salt shakers that I just opened up and dumped into my eyes, man. I don't ever want to fucking play at this table. I don't want to. I don't want to go to Matt's house. I don't want to play with 8 people. I want none of this. You don't want none of this.
I don't want to know what's going on with Matt and Hunter. I don't care. I'm
Yeah.
Yep.
I love you,
that's
Hunter.
that's when you're like, let's find out live what it's like when somebody flips a table over. Like,
And
7 players on
7
it.
decks go to the
right.
ground. I do want to know the story between Matt and Hunter, though. I think you hinted
Yeah.
at that, Andy.
Yeah.
I think there's some romance going on there. And he's like, oh, actually, you're still in, Hunter. There's a rule that I just
And if
came
that's
up
the
with.
case, then this is kind of cute.
Yeah.
So-
It's kind of like the
kinda
Cartman,
cute.
like, hey, man, well, my character can go invisible.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what
Yeah.
I mean.
like, hey, I have all the powers, you guys.
Or you're in a D&D campaign and the DM's best friend is there and they keep getting all the special magic items and you're like, can I get something? Can I get anything over here?
Here's this
another mimic.
purple knobbly dildo for you. Roll 6 to get it.
All the better to go fuck yourself with.
If you haven't gotten the hint yet, I love you, Hunter.
Oh, man.
Well,
Fucking salty, though, dude. I would go nuts at that table. Holy shit. Have you guys ever played in a game that big?
Or long.
I don't know if you guys have ever played Kingdoms, like where you set up roles
Mhm.
for people.
Have.
We've done the 7-player Kingdoms, but with those roles, you at least can, like,
But it's only about one person's life total, really. in
yeah,
that
you can
case.
shorten the game
Yeah.
that way. I think we've done 7-player games, but it's been a long time.
Oh, we don't do them.
Yeah.
I hate kingdoms, but
I also hate Kingdoms, dude.
I hate it. But like we try. Our situation every time we've done large games, it was by accident.
Yeah.
You know, when we get together, we call it church, where there's 4 of us. And if we have 8 people, we call it mega church. But if somebody falls out, if somebody falls out, we're at like the worst number, which is 7. And I tell everyone, if anyone drops, I have to kick 3 people. We're not doing a 7-player commander night. And they get it. They're totally respectful. They're like, that's way better for my weekend than me coming over to your place with 7 people playing commander.
Yeah.
So we haven't done games like that. Like to Tony's point, it's like you had a really good opportunity to have one hell of a night, actually, because you can shake it up, right? Like I'm sick of playing with Hunter. I don't want to be at this table anymore, or I really want to be with Hunter. I want to go over the table. You know, you can shake it up. Yeah.
I'd like to play at a not house rules table. We'll do one house rules table, one not house rules table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh my God.
Want to bring
Love
us home
that.
with one more,
How
Sam?
about one more?
Let's do it. You know what, guys? Here's a crazy idea. Let's do a third salty story. It's fucking wild,
yeah.
you know? Let's really shake it up.
We've never done that before.
Never, ever done something like this. This is a website submission on our lovely website, thehowlingsaltmine.com or howlingsaltmine.com. We're inconsistent with the, so we just got them both. Where you can submit salty stories of your own, folks. Person who's listening right now, I'm talking to you. And this one comes to us from our buddy Evan. Thanks, Evan. And this post is titled, "The Least Surprising Salt is the Funniest." And it goes, "Hey, all. Love the podcast, especially while taking the train to college every morning. This is a bit long, and all the Scryfall links are at the bottom." Well, thanks for that, Evan.
Nice. What a
Appreciate that
champ.
shit. "My story begins on Spell Table, like so many do. I had played..." Yeah, right. You know what's coming. "I had played one game with a player named the Gobfather, who was playing original Krenko. Spread him some goodwill, too. Yeah, fuck yeah, Gobfather. Get it, dude. The host of that game was knocked out first and left, so the game never truly came to an end. I joined another lobby named 6 to 7 Casual, and so does Mr. Father. The other 2 players were different. I was playing Roelesque clones, the Salt Lord was on some Doctor Who garbage, and player 4 was playing 5-colored Joda Transformers. As soon as Joda and Krenko were announced to the Salt Lord, he began bitching about who plays Krenko as a 6 to 7, who plays Joda as a 6 to 7. I argued in favor of Krenko, saying that I had just played against it and it wasn't the most powerful Krenko build. The Salt Lord wasn't happy, but we all started playing. It was some time into the game, and the Salt Lord was getting attacked by my 7-6 Malcolm, Alluring Scoundrel. He responds by activating a buffed Strax Santaran Nurse. I don't even know what that fucking card is.
no idea what
the
that is.
hell? Did they just
What the
make that
fuck
up?
is
Scryfall links are at the bottom.
Yeah, links are at the bottom.
Yeah, thank
dude.
you.
I have to look this up.
We have to.
Oh, this is some Doctor Who bullshit, dude. I'm just gonna read this real fast.
yes.
Just so we have the context. Strax Santaran Nurse costs 3, a red, and a green. It's a legendary creature, Alien Cleric. It's a 5/5 with Vigilance and Trample. It has 2 abilities. The first one is Grenades. It's an activated ability. Pay 2 and tap, sack an artifact, choose a player at random. When you do, Strax fights another target creature that player controls. Okay, so you got a fight ability. And then Glory of Battle. When Strax deals damage to a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Interesting. It's actually kind of
Right.
cool design. Too bad the card is weird.
Yeah, too bad it's an alien.
Yeah. Too bad it's a weird alien cleric nurse creature. Anywho, continuing on. He responds by activating a buffed Strax Santaran Nurse, and with the trigger on the stack, the fight trigger, as we've now learned,
Yep.
I pongify it. He says, but Strax is already fighting your flyer. And I respond with, well, the trigger is on the stack, but Strax isn't there too, where at this point he slams his hand on the table and says, whatever, bro, just play however you want to. We know you're dying first.
Whoa.
This this got a rise from the rest of the group. I said, okay, whatever you say. Off the Malcolm trigger, I'm playing Kogla, Titan Ape, targeting your commander. In the most piss baby attitude, he says, oh, you think this deck needs my commander to win? You're sorely mistaken.
Because he pushes up his anime flash glasses, right?
Yeah.
Pushes it up with the middle finger that you got to do if you're a cool anime character.
Yup.
A bit more banter happens where I was now intentionally trying to push his buttons. He then says, if you keep running your mouth, I'm going to rip your IP address and kick you from the lobby.
Whoa. What is this, Halo 3?
And what did you
You're
do
gonna
to my
sniper
mom?
assassin McLovin me, dude?
I was now practically cackling with laughter of the salt from this man. The Krenko player then drops a coat of arms with like 20 goblins on the field. Seeing this, the Salt Lord immediately left the lobby. In conclusion, kill the Salt Lord first if you want to laugh, and kill the Krenko player first if you want to win. Keep up the fantastic content. Thanks, Evan. That was great. That's so good, dude. Oh my God. I love when like someone shit talks just a little bit too much. Like you have made yourself the target, you know? Like you're acting super tough and you're like, I'm going to fucking knock you out of this game. And it's like, yeah, I think the rest of us are going to knock you out because you're unpleasant.
Yeah.
We're gonna cure ourselves.
Oh man.
I'm just trying to think if I've been in a like game like this.
Like this at all?
Yeah, and I just don't think I have.
I don't play on Spell Table, man.
Yeah, with strangers, like
Yeah.
that's a thing. Like, oh,
In the wilds.
Yeah, like you guys were talking about how you play in a very trusted pod. You know the people that you're playing with, and there's that. Then there's the next tier of like maybe meeting some people at a convention or a local store. Like a store, at least you'll probably see them a couple times if you go back. Spell Table is truly the wild, wild west. You have no
Yeah.
idea who you're gonna find, and a lot of the people on Spell Table are awesome, and you'll have a great game. And some of the people on Spell Table are playing on Spell Table because they don't have anywhere else to play.
yeah.
And you definitely encounter that.
Truer words were never spoken.
Can we go back to like how this whole journey started in that story, though, that the host of the game just checked out? Like
of the original lobby.
they had to go find another game because that person's like, well, I'm out. Fuck you guys. See ya.
Yeah, is that what happens? Like I've literally never had, again, I only play with friends over Spell Table. If someone just drops who's hosting, does the whole thing just collapse into itself? Like you lose it all?
I guess like that's what
I'm
that
pretty
sounded
sure.
like in that story. And I'm like,
That
wait a
sucks,
second. Okay.
dude.
First of all, this person just like screw the rest of your game. I'm
Yeah.
out. Like roll to see who won between you guys. Like that's fucking lame.
I do love that that's like a bonding moment for Evan and the Godfather where they're like,
Yeah.
hey man, we both made it through. Like, let's roll on to the next pod. The vibes were good, at least with us. Like, let's keep it going, you know? That's
I love
so
the,
wild.
I'm gonna rip your IP address and
I love that.
And kick you from the lobby, dude.
I'll have you know I graduated at the top of my class.
Yeah. That's some copy pasta shit, dude.
Yeah.
That's the person on like that's commenting on anything that says, well, I'm a chemist. Well, I'm a like
Yeah.
insert expertise on this subject matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be
Oh,
like,
no.
bro, you don't even get Rick and Morty. And then kill his commander.
You're not that deep.
You actually have to have a very high IQ to understand.
Yeah. You don't even get Rick and Morty. Fucking die. Goblins just come in
man.
and rip him up.
He's a pickle.
I love that story. I love that story.
It's so good. It's like you can't even spell IP address, dude. Like, like fucking chill.
You don't know the first two letters of IP addresses.
So basically, playing on spell table is like the penalty queue in Dota or something. Like you just you're in for it with something like that.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's like Halo 3 lobbies, man. It's like the wild
Yeah.
west of the internet.
It's
Yeah.
hit or miss though, because you're already out there looking.
Mike, have you randoed in with people?
I
on
have.
spell
I've
table?
randoed in with,
so you
like,
have
people-
experience.
Not often, but I've done it. I've mostly done it with CDH, but I think I've done it with like a couple casual games here or there. And
Has anyone bugged out at you
yeah,
like this?
people are definitely weird. People, because it's so tough because you're already playing over webcam, and like some of the stuff, like the game states, if they get complicated at all, are really challenging to like approach when you don't have everybody on the same page.
Oh yeah, especially if you get those people that just like their table is just like a dropped pile of cards. Like,
I hate
where
that.
are your
Yeah.
lands?
Yeah.
Where are your
Bad-
mana rocks? Like,
Black sleeves on a black playmat in a dark
Right.
room, and you're just like, what is that?
And 50% of their view is keyboard, and the other 50% of their view is glare. And you're like, I don't know what this
yeah, and
is.
they found a
Right.
webcam from like 2002 to use.
I feel attacked.
Yeah, you should feel attacked.
Yeah, you should.
Tony.
Tony, we will buy you a new webcam, please.
No. I have a better webcam than all of you. I just have rash lighting.
I will buy you lights, please. Please, bro.
It's only the middle. It's just the middle that's the problem.
That's only where you play every card. All right, we're getting down a fucking rabbit hole here. I could yell at Tony off the podcast, and I will. But yeah, like for every Godfather out there that you find who's like awesome, there's also, you know, a Salt Lord playing Strax Santaran Nurse, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
What is Strax? You just made that card
Yeah,
up.
that's not even a real card, dude. Like, that's some Rule Zero shit.
It does not look like a real card either.
It
dude.
truly
That's
does not.
That is the issue with some of these Doctor Who cards is they look like a solid custom card.
Yeah.
Man, this really does bring me back though to just like classic Halo 2. Like, I think it was Halo 2 when I first got Xbox Live and was really introduced to like how salty and shitty people can be on the internet. Like, I knew because me and my friends would get super salty and, you know, say whack shit to each other when we were just playing Halo 1. And then you sprinkle in the internet and voice chat and oh man.
That lobby after
Dude.
lockout, man. Prepare
It's
yourself.
just brutal.
Prepare
And
yourself.
I'm like, how do all these people know my mom? It's crazy.
He gets around
Wow,
too.
damn.
Wow.
Really? You number 2? This is fucking wild, man.
And the last game said he did something to her last night too.
Yeah,
Couldn't
it's
have
a
all been
busy
there.
night.
It's just so ridiculous, dude. But also, I do love that you're able to like when someone goes off like this, that you're able to deliver them the perfect comeuppance. It's just like, oh, dude. When Kranko swung with those 20 goblins, everybody was winning at the table.
Yeah. Everyone was cheering. Like,
Yeah.
What do we think about the Sol rating on this one?
I'm low on it. It's because I feel like it worked out in the end.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The table did the right thing. They assembled.
We all worked
they,
it out.
They
Right,
understood. Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah.
No advice.
It feels good to me too. It's very like this had the ending it was supposed to have, you know.
Yeah.
His IP address wasn't stolen. He wasn't booted from the room.
Did the guy even make it to combat, or did he leave when he just resolved the
I don't
the
even
coat?
think it resolved. I think it was
Didn't even
cast.
resolve.
He saw coat? Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it just said
He like knew.
drops a coat of arms. Seeing this, the Salt Lord immediately left.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like the best spell.
Powerful cast trigger.
Yeah, coat of arms says also target player loses the game. It's like, wow, that's fucking good. I want that in my deck, man. I love that. I want this game to end in like a Breakfast Club-esque ending where it's like, you know, don't you forget about me. And it's like, and in the end, his IP address wasn't stolen.
And he did, in fact, need his commander to win.
Yeah.
And don't you forget it.
That's a funny flex to have too, man. To be like, I don't even fucking need the commander to win. It's like, okay.
I mean, I love that. It was like deepening his story, you
Yeah.
know? Like,
Definitely something an anime villain would say.
yeah, that's what it felt like.
Like after they get their arm cut off, they're like, I'm not even left-handed.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Is it that time of the week?
Ooh.
Sure hope it's that time of the week.
Tony, let me check. Oh man. I think it is that time of the week.
Ooh, hell yeah. Is it the time of the week where we have our bit, but like the guests don't know about the bit, but then we like do the bit?
It is.
But maybe we
It-
warned them
nice.
about the bit.
It is that time of the week where we do this deep, deep bit. It's the time of the week that
yeah.
comes. It's the time of the week that comes every week.
Every fucking week, baby.
It's the time of the week where we say, Mike,
Mike.
what's the salty card of the week?
The salty card of the week this week is
I don't practice Salteria. I won't cast no winter orb.
I don't cast Armageddon, and I won't ask you to pay the four. It's a quick one this week, folks.
That was good. I like that.
Wow. Applause.
Very well done.
It's short, sweet, and to the salt this week, baby. That is Santaria by Sublime and requested by our patron, Crean Bean. Thank you, Crean.
That's one of those songs that I know the song, but I had literally no idea what the title was, like who sings it, like, but I know that song. Like,
dude, when I was in quick aside about Santeria by Sublime, when I was in high school, you know, I was like a bit of a, I don't know, it was late in high school. I was a little bit of a shit, and me and my friends had skipped school and smoked a bunch of pot and were playing with Legos, as you do, in my friend's basement, and we had played Rock Band beforehand, and Santeria is on Rock Band. And we had stopped and like abandoned the Rock Band to just really get into some deep Legos, you know? And we left it on Santeria. So like when you're in the menu of Rock Band, it's just playing like a 20-second segment of Santeria over and over and over again. And like the little guitar riff after the first chorus is like burned into my brain note for note. And like now when it comes on, I'm like activated like the Manchurian Candidate again. It's like it just scratches some deep part of my brain where that riff was just completely burned.
You just start stacking any blocks you find around you. All items must be attached.
Assembling
to each
little
other.
spaceships with Legos. I'm like, oh my God. I have to kill the president.
interesting.
Anyways, Mike, what
Shut
is
the
the
fuck
salty
up.
card?
Well, thanks, Sam. That was a lovely salty song.
Oh,
the
thank you.
salty card of the week this week is Winota, Joiner of Forces.
Ooh.
She is 2, a red and a white for a legendary creature, human warrior from Ikoria. Whenever a non-human creature you control attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a human creature from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains indestructible until end of turn. Put the rest of the cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. And it's a 4/4.
Is there flavor text?
There's no flavor text.
Wow.
It's too much.
Not enough room. She does
Yeah,
too
there's
much.
Does
text,
too much.
text.
Oh shit!
So, Andy, Kyle, how do you guys feel about this?
We've had one rampage through our group. It's a very powerful trigger. If it's allowed to set itself up, there's a lot of bullshit that comes off of that library for sure. You know, we were talking shit on that first story, but like I started putting Knight of Souls Betrayal in like a lot of my black decks just to lock that thing out.
Knight of Souls Betrayal, what is that?
It's just creatures are -1/-1. That's it.
Oh, that's great, dude.
So like all the
That's good
goblins
tech.
don't survive. Nothing.
You've got
None of the tokens.
You've got no tokens to
The
do your
tokens
work.
just can't. They can't be. They just
But-
can't be.
But that's doing it the right way because that's hating unanimously on all token
Yeah.
strategies,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, because
Yep.
we had an Alenda too. So like
Yeah.
Alenda
Oh,
had
yeah.
to solve it before she even got resolved. And
Right.
then you had, was it Tana, the one that was pumping out
Oh,
Sapper?
yeah,
Lady?
that was
Sabbies.
actually- yeah.
So it was, yeah. I remember we were played against actually it was a spell table game, and we were playing with one of our Patreon patrons, and he's like, "What is this doing for you?" And it was in my Glissa the trader list. I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, she's a 2/2 death touch for a strike. Like, it doesn't. Her size is not material to what I'm trying to do with like."
Yeah.
But it was really Winota. It was like my moment, and yeah, my brother played it, and he was like, you remember that part in like the movie 300 where the dude has his like arms chained together and he's like begging the dudes around him to like cut the chains, and as soon as he does, he goes like on this killing spree through all the Spartans.
Yes.
That was that. Like my brother was like, if somebody removes that enchantment, I will make Andy go away. And somebody removed it, and he just unloaded on me. He was like, he had sculpted the perfect hand to just make it happen in like one turn. So Winota's one hell of a commander.
Oh,
in my
love
opinion.
that, dude.
I don't know how salty I get about it, but that commander has definitely loosened up my ass for sure.
Yeah.
Which we know from the start of the episode is very
Right.
tight.
Yeah,
There
it
it
was
is. It
very
was
tight, so.
until Winota.
maybe needed a Winota or two hanging out.
Winota Anal Dilation Services. Who needs poppers when you got Winota?
I will say that
shit.
I do struggle with commanders that operate so quickly that like it's difficult to have any kind of game plan.
Mhm.
Like that is a little bit depressing. Like it would feel,
You just need to be able to
feel
pair
a little
it,
bit
right?
of salt when it's just like, okay, I'm playing a deck that like I'm gonna cast a ramp spell before you kill me. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
like,
Yeah.
it's a bummer when you are matched poorly against a deck like Winota.
Tony, how do you feel?
This is one of those cards that, like, on paper, you just kind of hear, oh, it does all these things. Like, it can't be that salty. Like, it's like kind of whatever. But then, if you've ever had the displeasure of playing against it, that's when you like know the salt. Like, and not everybody has one of these in their pod. Like, there's one time, it was when Sam was playing it in CDH.
I played it twice
and
in
it was a bunch of
CDH and I won
bullshit. And I
both
was
games.
like, Jesus. Like, it doesn't sound that bad when you're reading it. But
Yeah.
then when you see it happen and you're like, oh, you swung with 3 things and now there's 6 things and I'm actually completely stacked out of
Yeah.
the board and like can't do anything in the singular attack you did. Like the one time I was like, oh, I'll let it do the thing. Like everyone likes to let people do the thing, or at least I like to.
Yeah.
I don't.
Fuck blue players. But like, I like to see the thing, but then when you see it with Winota, you're like, oh, can I unsee it? Like I don't want to see it anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's very like, it's experienced salt. It's not
Mhm.
like, just reading it makes me salty. Like there's blue cards that just reading it, I'm like, fuck blue, but like this is like very I need to have experienced it, and as I have, it is salt inducing.
Yeah. I think your point about like, I want to let people do the thing. I want them to get like one round of triggers out maybe. And that is too late usually
Yeah,
then.
it's too
Because
much.
often like the humans that are coming down are humans that make more non-humans. So then you're triggering Winota more in the future. And
Yeah.
you're
Yep.
just like stacking things up. And some things will come down since you don't have a chance. There's no chance to interact once you say, okay, that trigger is good to go. Do the dig. Like, look at those top 6. There's no chance after that's happened to deal with anything once the creature has come down.
Yeah.
So if they get like a grand abolisher or something, like then you can't answer right there.
Yep.
Just off the flip. And then you don't get to deal with any of the rest of the bullshit that's going on that turn. So totally, Tony.
Yeah.
How about you, Sam? How do you feel about this one?
You guys all said it very well. It snowballs out of fucking control so fast. It's one of those decks that I've really only played against in CDH for the most part. Played it in CDH for a bit. It's very oppressive in CDH, but it's also like at this point, I think people have figured out that you can just like blast Winota and just try to stop them as soon as possible. And then the deck is literally dead and isn't going to do anything for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So much to the point that like the deck is still really good, but nobody really plays it anymore. I think the thing that makes me the saltiest about Winota, and it doesn't get me too salty, but casual Winota decks, there is like such a high floor because you don't really have to build it well at all. It just has to have some humans, some non-humans, and you're gonna get value just purely by casting Winota and playing the game and going to combat. And I think like it does this thing where you sit down and you're like, I got a 7, I got a 7, I got a 7, whatever. You do your pregame conversation and someone's like, I got a casual Winota list. Like it's going to snowball just as hard as a CDH list, if not harder, because instead of stacks pieces coming out, it's like, just these absolutely gross humans dropping down and just crushing the board. So it's kind of, to me, it's kind of like Yuriko or, like almost like Corvold in casual pods too, where I'm like, can we just keep that out and like not really play it? Because I have yet to face a casual Winota list that I ended the game and I was like, yeah, that was fair. You know what I mean? Like,
That's the guy who tries to play Yuriko in casual.
hey, did I
Repeatedly.
say Eureka? Sam,
Repeat
edit that
offender.
out. Edit that out, dude.
Bullshit right now.
I don't play it anymore, man. You guys fucking complain too much about
Yeah,
it.
that was the only way to get rid of it. How does this make you feel, Mike?
Actually, the saltiest this card has made me feel is not in Commander. It's in Timeless. If you start adding other colors to Winota, in terms of what humans you have available to you, things get really dumb because Agent of Treachery exists.
Yeah, Agent of Treachery.
And so you're Winota triggering into an Agent of Treachery in a 1-on-1 format. So like turn 3, you're giving them one of your lands, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'm gonna be
gross,
locked out of this game.
Woof.
So yeah, so
That sucks.
I've seen some really awful things with this card outside of Commander, and I have seen people try and do casual commanders with this, and just like Sam was saying, like it never really feels like it works out.
Mhm.
And I think that combined with kind of like the trickiness of the trigger can be frustrating. All that said, I don't think this card makes me like salty kind of on a whole, because I actually really like that it's added a level of like diversity to what people can bring to CDH. I think that's neat to have like a Boros Beats strategy be able to hang to some
Mhm.
extent. It just like the play pattern of it is kind of frustrating to deal with, but it needs to be in order to like hang in some of those other situations where people are just like demonic consultation thoracling, you know?
Yep.
So,
Well, Mike, where does this fall in the top 300 salty cards on EDH Rec?
excellent question. I would love to hear everybody's guesses. And we haven't gotten to do this with guests yet, the actual writing it down. So now we've got a lot of guesses. It's good.
All right, I'm gonna text Kyle my number.
I just put mine in my calculator.
I'm
but
texting
okay.
it to you. Just open up the text.
I have mine ready. I've written it on an infinito.
All right, what have we got? Read them all out for me.
63.
114.
Ooh, I went low. I went 227.
Ooh.
Oh.
227. I went right. I'm at 150.
Funny enough, Andy hits it right on the head. It is
Wow.
150.
No
Oh.
way.
Damn.
That's
Oh.
stupid.
Fuck.
That's amazing.
Is that the first time that's ever happened that we actually guessed
Yes,
the exact
that is
number?
the first.
It's the last time it's
directly
gonna
on.
fucking happen
Damn.
too. I'll tell you that much.
It
Yeah.
may be. It may be.
I think Tony has to step down now, and Andy, you're on the show.
Whoa,
That's
shit.
crazy.
Love you, Tony.
Wow, right on it.
Damn.
So yeah, so now no longer can people try to aim for the guess of right in the middle. So
Yeah,
that's
we know.
that's ruled out. You know it's not that.
No, it's
And we
Winota.
can also always evaluate things as, are they saltier than Winota or less salty than Winota?
That's, he kind of feels like the right 150, right? The very
It kinda
divisive.
does.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Wow. 150.
That wraps it up for the salty card of the week. Thanks for playing.
Well, thanks, Mike. That was a lovely salty card of the week. And thank you to our two lovely guests, Andy and Kyle, for joining us in the salt mine today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun.
He says with
Really
shock.
cool. Yes, yeah.
We tricked you. You thought it was going to be a bad time, but we got you. It was fun.
Yeah, we
Oh, man,
confused people with that little like bit about the test being hard. And people
Yeah.
are like, oh, I hate tests.
So if people are looking for more of that Legendary Creatures podcast juice, where do they find that?
I hope you can find us anywhere you could find the Howling Salt Mine. That means our RSS feeds are working correctly. So
Let's say Kansas City salt mine.
that trip sounds charming, actually. Dear Howling Salt Mine patron, would you please let these guys take a nice trip to the salt mine in, where is it? Kansas City.
Kansas City.
I love it.
Yeah, you guys are everywhere podcasts can be found.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how often do you guys release new episodes? I know you mentioned earlier that you have a somewhat erratic schedule.
We try to do them once a week. The way our kind of patronage is set up is that like 4 a month is like what we try to do, because we only bill by creation. So that kind of gives us the flexibility to be like, yeah, you're not going to get billed if we don't make an episode.
That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah, that's how we do it. But
Nice.
we're supposed to be weekly. We're supposed to be.
Nice.
We like to say that we're more approximate.
Yeah,
than
we're
precise.
approximately weekly.
I dig it. Yeah,
That's great.
And I will just shout out your podcast because I really love it. I listen to it a lot. I think my favorite, most recent episode was the one about like PR, like your commander's public relations and how to change that, because
man.
that's something that we encounter a lot in our pod, where like Tony has these
Where everyone
decks and
hates
the-
my decks.
Yeah, because
Yes.
the first time Tony plays
They're
his
so
deck,
hateable.
it does something crazy, and then we're all like, "Fuck that deck forever." And then the next time he plays it, it's bad, and but it's
That's
even
only
worse
with
because
one
we're
of them.
removing all of his shit. No, Tony, it's every deck. They're all bad. No, I agree with you, Tony. They're all bad.
Yeah, you're trash. I hate you.
But that's a really fantastic episode. You guys also do set reviews, and you do them in a really interesting way where you have like your patrons review specific cards and kind of like submit those to you guys, and then you assess their review and talk about it, which I think is really cool. It kind of takes the set review format, which so many people are doing, and adds like a little twist to it where you kind of get like more community input on it.
A little
which I think is
flair.
dope.
Yeah, it's a good way for us to have people pay us to do work for us.
Also, we don't have to be experts about 30 new.
Oh yeah, we
legends.
can't keep up anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Lord of the Rings? I was like, I tuned it out and I was like, I'll let them handle it and I'll just listen to what they have to say.
Yeah.
There was like 170 legends or something, right?
It was
like,
a lot.
yeah.
Damn.
So
Every other card was a legend, it felt like.
exactly. So it was like we just can't do it.
So is
but
that
yeah.
why you didn't know who Strax Santarum Nurse was? Wow.
Yeah. so we actually like do votes for content, and we asked like, do you guys want to do Doctor Who? And it was like it was like the most overwhelmingly pitched vote. Usually they're pretty close.
Yeah.
Just they were like, no, like nobody wanted it.
It's so good.
And then we
I love
offer
that.
alternatives. So we did the same thing for Lord of the Rings. We're like, hey, do you guys want us to do Lord of the Rings? And they were like, well, no. But then somebody like electioneered, and we ended up doing a lore episode. So we brought somebody in who's like a lore freak with Lord of the Rings, and it's just only the lore of the show or the
that's fucking
books
sick.
rather. But we asked for Doctor Who. Do you want to do lore? I guess no.
Don't do
So
Doctor Who.
It's just this gap in our content. There's like nothing there. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's a gap that a lot of people have. Sorry, Whovians.
Yeah.
I just don't think that set was very
Yeah,
popular.
it's just not for us. But
Well, thanks again for joining us, guys. We really do appreciate it. And thank you to the Salt Packet Plus tier Patreon members. You know, we got to shout them out at the end of every episode. And this week we have Rothbox, Bathroom Entity, Bobo Fett, Chameleon, Clearbrook, Captain Cross, Firehawk Ash, Ebes, Joe Danson, and Vok. Got them all.
Whoop up.
Thanks for the support, y'all. And thanks, of
Catch 'em
course.
all.
Hell yeah. And thanks, of course, to all of the prospectors out there for tuning in every single week to the Howling Salt Mine. If you're looking for more Howling Salt Mine in your life, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Howling Salt Mine. We have our extra salt show that we're doing once a month. We have our Stray Grain show, which is our short form show. It's all the little segments that don't make the final cut. And our full episodes make it onto the Patreon. So if you've made it through the backlog, you've listened to everything, and you're dying for more, jump in. We got a thriving Discord community. We're doing monthly Patreon games. It is a good time, so check it out. Another way you can support the show is to send us your salty stories. I mentioned the website earlier in the episode, but once again, that is thehowlingsaltmine.com or howlingsaltmine.com. Send them to us there, or you can shoot them over to our Gmail, which is thehowlingsaltmine@gmail.com. Another way you can support the show is to buy some merch, which we have new fucking playmats, baby. Check out jankmats.com and you will find our Howling Salt Mine branded playmats. We got our logo design up there right now, and there's gonna be more. You know, we're gonna be converting some of those t-shirt designs into swaggy, I don't know why I said that, into cool playmats.
Into swaggy mats.
Sometimes I get into like the spiel.
swamp ass mats. Into like, I'm like,
Whoa.
where were you going with that? I don't know.
Do you think that's what swag means? Swamp ass?
No, you were trying to go somewhere. I couldn't tell where.
I also didn't know where I was going. So,
So it could have been
sometimes-
there. Stop yelling at me. Continue the
Sometimes I fall into that like business spiel, and man, my mind just does its own
You know,
thing.
the swaggy business that you're getting up to all the time.
All right, it's hot in the room. I am a little sweaty, okay? It's hot in my recording room. You got me, all right? But check out our playmats. You can also check out our t-shirt designs on Bonfire, and we hear you guys. We're gonna get the Dragon Shield sleeves back in the store. Chill. It's coming. Hold off. We'll talk about it a lot when it happens. Another way you can support the show is to give us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app of choice, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, what have you. It helps us stick out in the algorithm. And you know what? While you're there, fucking listen to an episode of Legendary Creatures Podcast and give them a 5-star review. Why not? Spread the love. You know the drill. Spread that goodwill. We do say that a lot, so you might as well do it. And lastly, we shout him out every episode. JD Burnett for giving us our beautiful podcast art that we rock every week. If you're ever in Asheville, North Carolina, hit him up and get a tattoo. He's a really cool guy.
10,000 subscribers are bust.
Indeed. Andy, Kyle, thanks again for hanging out with us in the Salt Mine, guys. This has been a fantastic time. I really
Hell
appreciate
yeah.
it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having
guys.
us on. You guys are amazing. This was a really good trip. It was really good. I enjoyed myself immensely.
Oh, thanks, dude. We appreciate that. Well, thanks again, everybody. And as always, stay salty. And don't forget to draw an additional card during your draw step.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
I need some advice about my Mirab list.
Yeah. My mirror on
No, like we've
No, you
all
don't.
seen it. Like we know what it is.
You
Yeah,
got
the
it.
dragons in it, dude.
Try to
Great.
choose
Great work.
the right dragons for my.
Yeah. You got it. Great work.
Oh, God, dude.
You can swear.
Oh, yeah. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
swear.
Can swear.
You can swear.
Oh, good.
We actually recently learned that I can't swear, so I really can't go on PG.
No, we learned
Yeah.
that Tony can't not swear.
Can't not
Yeah.
swear.
Oh, yeah. That one.
150.
Okay, you're like down the middle.
Cheater with your binary systems.
We'll see.
You solved our game.